Hello and welcome to this week's episode where I'm going to break down for you exactly what it takes to be feeling like you are in charge of your business versus feeling like you are in its charge. So, my name is Supriya. If this is the first time you're tuning in to the Holistic Business and Life Mastery Show, welcome from all of us in our community. We are growing in a Spotify land more faster than anywhere else. So thank you so much for being here, pressing play, and do join us by hitting the follow button and leaving us comments or sharing your feedback. Let's get started with today's topic because I know this is really going to shift the way you do things versus the way you may have been doing things, which perhaps is the root cause of the results that's happening right now. Okay, so some of the things that I see struggling holistic entrepreneurs struggle with is the lack of consistency in their clients, so they'll find clients, but then they'll find it hard after serving those clients that they just find it really hard to gather up the energy to go find new ones, right? That's like a really big problem in the entire industry. And the only solution is to be more in charge with how we find and attract and recruit or sign up new clients, okay? And so one of the things that I want you to straight away know, and maybe this is an episode where you will need to take notes because it's a logical step-by-step process, or even you can call it a recipe for success, yeah? And the recipe for a successful holistic practice is to follow a step-by-step process, which is giving you back the calm from the chaotic process of trying to serve clients, do everything else, and also find clients, then serve them, okay? It's a really arduous process, and let me know if you disagree with that. So, on my journey, what used to happen was right at the beginning, I found myself, living day to day, and part of the reason for this was because I was just starting out and I had developed a client base very quickly. And it was because I just put myself out there, really got myself out there, made connections with the right people. And mind you, I was a completely brand new person doing this. I feel like I just went with the service mindset and I really just wanted to serve, and that's why that result happened very quickly. And so within the first year, I had 3 groups of classes I was running in my yoga business. And then once I started seeing private clients, I would have in the area private clients as well, who I'd worked for many years, more than 1 year, So this went on for the first 5 years of my work experience as a business owner. But at that time, I was operating on like a day-to-day basis. I really didn't have the focus on this stuff that I'm sharing with you now, because I think if I had, I feel like I would have probably done a lot better when it came to customer retention, customer attraction, plus also my energy, So I wonder if I may have made more income that could have supported my life goals, but I didn't have the bandwidth to think, and nor did I have the acumen. Like I didn't have anyone like myself right now sharing this with us at that time. And yeah, so day-to-day living had me thinking of only solving short-term problems, okay? Short-term problems such as, they're going to change the rent for this space very soon. Or, there's going to be a competitor opening up a new class nearby, or new service nearby. So I was finding myself that that's what I was doing. I just kept going, and soon enough, I'm like, man, what's next? And that question in my mind was, what's next? Because I couldn't see myself doing this for the rest of my life anymore. I came to a place where, every day I would do driving around. My health also declined because, I'd teach lunchtime classes, miss my meal at that time. And it was just like me working. That was my life, work. Work, practice, eat, sleep, repeat, if that makes sense. And I had Excel spreadsheets for maintaining clients' details. I had a mobile phone, and what else? I had a portable stereo that I used to carry around. All right. So this was the basic setup of my then business. And what I remember, the biggest thing that I was missing at that time was this foresight, or this bigger plan that I needed to make, not just for my own well-being, but really for the longevity of my mission. Like, if I had not asked myself what's next, one of the centers were going bankrupt that I was working at. And the client base that were coming through there, I didn't really like. Another center, I was hiring a space that had a dance studio there. And honestly, their cleanliness was a very different level of cleanliness to what a yoga space would have. So there was a lot of hiccups and problematic situations rising. So I was like, my God, what's next? I don't know if I can keep doing this. And I would never dare think of opening in my own studio, never, because the one studio that I was working in, they were not doing well. The owner was not managing anything at all to the level that was required of her to keep people like me who were really serious and passionate and helping those classes that I taught thrive, but then the rest of the business wasn't doing so well. So in my mind, all I could see was failure all around. And also, I never thought that's the next step for me. Though one of the reasons why I had to think, well, what is next for me is because the problems just overtook all the benefits, and a lot of things were getting shaken up. And to me, it was not the money. It was really about what happens next when these places go. Am I just going to keep looking for new places and drive around and have to make do with what I get, And what about the quality of work I'm doing? The quality of work meaning that, yes, I'm enrolling people, I'm taking them through term by term, but what is next for me? And to me, that was coming up because I think I was also growing and evolving as a teacher. Okay, I hope I've painted the picture right at that time. And then came that opportunity of just taking the leap to get a center, get a space and not drive around so much. So my number one driver was, I don't want to drive around so much. This is not suiting me at all. I don't have any stability in my own personal life. And I just wanted a different lifestyle and activity to do than drive around from class to class. And that led me to a search, for a year or about there, I would walk around and look for spaces, and without any real ability to get a space. Anyhow, I got myself a space, and I think I've manifested it because it ended up being right under where I used to live. and it was a brand new space, and it was an amazing energy. So that became the beginning of what I'm going to share is the recipe for success to building a flourishing holistic practice. Now, the recipe is made up of several steps, right? Number one is you being the solopreneur, the person who is the expert and the business owner. The lines are so blurry of being the two roles. It's so easy to forget and keep playing in the short-term solution-based game all the time. So, number one, realize that there are several roles that you end up playing, and you've got to have the discipline, or you got to develop the discipline of playing the role your business needs at several points of the day and week and year. Cool. So getting a center meant that I'm not thinking month at a time. I'm thinking a whole year at a time, and even 3 years at a time, okay? Because my lease was 3 years long. So a bigger commitment meant I had to plan. I had to step up and do plans for a longer period of time. It's sort of like, when you start a new family, maybe 2 adults, fine, you can get by month. But when you have a kid, what happens then? You must start planning. I mean, when I spoke to my siblings, they said that, even before the child was born, they were already enrolled in some school, or their name was already in the waiting list for the local schools. So similar things happen or need to happen for you to start planning long term. So the advice here is not that you have to go get a bigger space or a bigger overheads, or a bigger space to bring on your shoulders. No. The advice here is that instead of doing short-term planning, term by term, you've got to start now thinking long-term, okay? So you might have to start with your 12-month plan, and at the same time, you want to have sort of a 3-year vision, 3-year vision for a new business, a beginner, is a lot to think about, right? Even though in your heart of hearts, you want to really keep going for the rest of your life, just remember the roles that you end up playing. There's you, the heart, who is the professional, the expert that would do this for free even. But then there is the you that is the business owner, that has to keep the business running. And you have a very different performance indicator, right? You actually have to make the business tick, meaning you have to generate profits for the business to keep running. So you have to stay very clear about who is doing the visioning and planning. And in my program, what I help you do is actually be you, who is the visionary of the business, and think from the visionary space instead of being the expert or the business manager. Okay, so we go even a higher up level. So when the visionary looks at this idea of this business serving for 3 years and what it can see happening, also then you look at the business in 12 months' time and you start to set goals from that level. So then it becomes the business manager's role, right? Or the CEO's role. Here is where you start to ground your vision to start putting action behind it. So a flourishing practice needs to have vision behind it, and then it needs to have long-term then short-term goals. I know you have studied this. If you have done a diploma, advanced diploma, Cert 4, this stuff you learn about it in theory. So have I, right, in the past. But did I use it? No, not really. Because theory and practice, completely different ball game, right? It's a completely different approach. Some of you have even done business degrees. But I'm going to bet you $100 that even the plumber needs a plumber, right? It's the plumber's sink, as they say. The proverbial, it's a metaphor that we tend to need another coach or a separate entity to help us apply it to ourselves. Okay, so moving forward. So you've got the vision, you've got the long-term goals and the short-term goals. And we actually set a 90-day goal. Okay, so that would be your short-term goal. Even if you don't hit it, you've still got the whole year ahead to actually make it happen, right? Though now that you have these goals, you've got to now create the plan on how to reach those goals. You have to do your pricing, your offer, and the product design, which means that you get to think about how long your customer gets to spend with you and your service provider company, right? Or your clinic, your practice, your studio, however you're operating. You get to decide this, okay? And based on that, right, you get to create a product that can keep solving problems for the same client. And you need to be really identifying how long can you keep serving the same person. And then based on that, you create your products to be able to keep solving these people's problems. So that means you're not thinking just selling them a $200 session. You're thinking of the ongoing problems they will have. Then their lifetime, it's called a lifetime value, right, of that person. What's that going to be? So then how does that lifetime value being for the first year that they're with you, how will that contribute toward your yearly goal? Can you see that? So every client that you bring on now has a lifetime value to be working with you, and that becomes part of your long-term goal succession plan. So that's ingredient number 3. Ingredient number 4 is you're looking at yourself being the expert or the technician or the person who's serving. How about you creating a scalable program or an offer that doesn't need you to be there all the time? Yeah. As soon as you're able to do that, and this can happen in many ways. So your offer is a bundle of things that is created for a certain type of clientele, right? And maybe there's several parts to it, and not all of them need to be served by you. This is how you can get back your time. And you can also, if you systemize that process, then you can actually scale that and make sure that that brings in more income, because more income will always be about more volume of whatever it is that you're doing. And it is not possible for you to be doing everything that you offer, especially if you're thinking long term, okay? So can you see the thinking differences? Last, final tip here, the ingredient is that once you have figured all this out and you put this into action and it's running, then you can start to also look at how do you multiply more from what you already have. That is when you can execute a retention plan. The retention plan has already been made because you already know how you're going to keep these people playing with you and paying you. Obviously, you're being of service to them. But this retention plan can also have something of a rewards plan, or you can even create a referral plan, right? Where if they bring in their family, then you are also, providing a service to people that they know and already have trust with you. You can offer your services to them. Now, where a lot of people get stuck on this is because they're firstly working too much. So I had to not do everything in my business to be able to execute these plans. So we had a lot of family members come and join us, even though some family members didn't like being around their own family and they didn't stay. But I have had most of my clients stayed for like 5-7 years. Think about that. So that's the secret to longevity and a flourishing practice and a business, which just kept serving the same clients and brought in more through strategies like that. So growth strategies, it will be dependent on what you're wanting to create. And there's always a strategy, meaning an ingredients to creating the result you're looking for. So let's talk about what are some of the problems that are going to come up that, stop people from doing what really makes sense, right? This is the thing. If you want your business to grow, then you need to take these steps. But if you don't want your business to grow, why are you in it? Then it's not a business, because a business is like a plant. It's like a baby. It's like something you have given birth to, or you've kick-started it. Its nature is to grow. It has to keep growing. Not that it becomes so big that it's out of your hands. It's more like, it's got its own potential that it has to actualize. Similar to you. So every time the business is stuck at any point, it is usually because of the owner that's running it. Okay. And the business can't really have breakthroughs of its own. It's the owner that has to be growing and having breakthroughs. So if you can think about yourself as the owner operator and the director, as they say, there's these roles that you fulfill that actually have a functionality which then causes the result that we are looking to create. Okay, and another problem that gets in the way is the fixed mindset. It's just thinking that the way it has been done by others is the same way it applies to everybody. It's not. So coming back to what are some of the ways that get in the way, some of the obstacles are just plain and simple ignorance. Ignorance of this fact is that, it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter, more efficiently, and learning to grow and work in a different role in your business. So when it comes to living your passion, I live my passion through what I do. I am the CEO of this business, but I also am one of the technicians, right? I'm still the coach because that's my passion. Coach, consulting, this is my passion. This is what I love doing still. Well, once I'm ready to replace myself, I will, but it's not really ready to replace myself. That is not my choice. It's my choice. It's my timing, right? But I have to always stay careful that I'm not, blurring the lines. And what that will do, that'll only just kill the business growth. I've always got to have the other roles fulfilled. Otherwise, those functions won't be served. And then guess what? It's like the plant not getting sunlight or the fertilizer or the water or the shade, right? Or the right environment. So same thing, like a business needs all these ingredients. What are they? their vision, the roles that have their own functions. Got to have your goals. So vision, goals, roles. Figuring out the LTV, the lifetime value of every customer that comes through your doors. Okay, and what else? Number 5 was, retention plan. So because it's like this, I like to use the example of, growing a growing family. So you've had a baby. Now you're starting to think about, hey, what are sort of the friends that I would like to have to create the environment that's right for the baby to grow. You're not planning for the baby to die. You're planning for the baby to keep growing into the best version of itself until it's time for you to let it go. Okay, some people let their children go at 16. Some people let them go at 18. Some people let their kids stay till 30. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so not taking into consideration that this thing is built to grow is a big setback. So that's what I have for you, and I wanted you to see it from another perspective today so that you can now think, what is it going to take from you to grow your practice? I'll be back with more, though this is some of the things that I love talking about because, what are the benefits in it for you, right? Short term versus long term, it's just really something that you have to shift from doing short term to long term if you want a business. If you don't want a business, then go and help another business thrive, right? But be willing to sacrifice your own growth at the same time, because every business has its own way of doing things, right? And unless you strike a partnership with a studio, I know lots of senior practitioners that do this. They strike a partnership with organizations where they are completely managing the entire faculty, and that's a very fulfilling space to be in. At the same time, though, from personal experience and also friends that are in that kind of space, I can see that there is still trade-offs about what exactly can happen. Like, you may not have full freedom on exactly what you can do, but still, you still get to do your craft. You still get to keep growing as yourself. Okay, so my friend, this is it for today. I trust you have had lots of value come out of listening to this week's podcast. If there's anything that you'd like me to talk about more specifically, please put it in the comments or send me a DM or email. Do share it with somebody that is interested in this stuff and that is on this journey with you. And hey, I'm wanting to grow a community of us and people that we can learn with and learn from. And we want to do better in business because that's what's keeping you stuck, right? You want to be getting better at business and marketing and learn how to grow into a leader that can actually cause the results versus be a product of the results. No, you have to get into the leader's seat. Okay, thank you for tuning in, and I shall be back next week with more.